Hey guys, it's Tim Gillette with the Tim Gillette Show, and I'm back here with another episode of our show today. And I have got a surprise for you on this one. All right. This is someone who I looked up to for a long time, and that has been a mentor to me, has been someone who has always been there. If I said I had a question, she has always been willing to stop and answer it and share. And I thought I was special. And then I realized that she does that with everybody. It's so cool. I got to know Nancy Matthews a couple of years ago, again, through Craig Duswalt. Craig, that's another dime you owe me for mentioning you. I got to know her there. And then last year, I reached out because we do the conference blog and video con. And I said, hey, Nancy, would you be interested in speaking at our event? To which Nancy said, yes. So I got to know Nancy a little bit better while she worked at my event, and I watched her work with people who are becoming her clients at my event. I was so glad that I got to introduce her to people who are going to become her future clients by her coming to speak at my event. But again, she helps people. She's a friend. I do consider her a friend as well as someone that we refer business to. And I'm going to bring her on here and get to know her live on screen today. Let's bring on Nancy Matthews. Hi, Nancy.
Hi.
How are you today?
I am good. I got to say something. So first of all, thank you for all the beautiful introduction, but you are special.
Yeah.
Hey, what are you drinking? I didn't get a cocktail. Was that part of the show?
You can, but this is how Tim has been doing so many interviews lately.
Okay. I've got some water, so I'm going to brand my company instead of Red Bull.
That's why it's in the glass. All right, yeah. But unfortunately, it's not a colored glass, so you just look at it and go, okay, what's in there? Because we all know Tim has a drinking.
Yeah.
So
anyway, thank you for this, and thank you for what you've been doing. I've been catching your episodes and how fun it is, and you're a bright spot in my feed as well as in my life.
Yep. And it is fun to do. It is something that, I teach people, so I better be doing what I'm teaching. Would you agree?
I would definitely agree.
Yeah. So Nancy, we met a couple years ago at Craig Duswalt's boot camp.
Mm-hmm.
We were both sitting at the same table. Now, I'd heard you because I'd heard your name. I've seen your stuff around, but that was the first time we ever got to meet.
Yeah.
All right. Do you remember that time we sat at the table next to each other?
We were sitting in the back, and you made that experience even more fun than it already was. Because that's what you bring. You bring fun. And the other thing I'll say about you is you bring results. Like when I came to your event, I was so inspired by who you attracted and how you delivered so much value.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, meeting you there, Nancy, was an inspirational moment for me because, you know what I mean? I heard you did this Women's Prosperity Network. I didn't know anything about it. All right. But when I got to meet you, I've always, in my life, Nancy, I've always liked to meet the leader to find out what kind of an organization it is. And you and your sisters are leaders, first of all. But tell me how you and your sisters come up with this idea for Women's Prosperity Network.
So it was really by accident. Quite frankly, I was doing real estate investing and teaching people how to buy and sell properties. And I actually got invited in to somebody else's idea about creating a woman's seminar company. And I was going to be the resident real estate expert. And it was a great idea that just some of the workings of the business model didn't work out. So as I started talking with people that I knew about this new women's seminar company, I found that there was a need, and women were really resonating with an opportunity to have a place to go to talk about their businesses and their lives and their big visions and goals and dreams. So when that business model didn't work out, my sisters and I got together and said, well, how could we create this? Mm-hmm. And, this is something I would say for, anybody who's listening in that's a business owner. We started basically with a grassroots approach in our backyard. Our first event that we did, we had 29 women who came to that. And I'm proud to say many of those are still members today. Mm-hmm. That was in 2008, by the way.
In 2000, so that was right as the real estate and the economy was starting to go, ooh.
Yeah. So yeah, change is something I'm definitely accustomed to. And the key is we always need to be innovating in direct response to what people want and need. And that's what we all need to be looking at right now, which is what you're doing. I mean, you saw a need for people to connect. You saw a need for people to get on video and share about themselves and their businesses and create exposure. And you jumped on it. So you're leading with, the most important thing we can all be doing right now.
That's why I say I look up to you and your sisters as leadership, because you grabbed a niche in the field that you saw the people were hungry,
right?
And you're like, okay, we've got the tools to feed them. Let's start feeding them. I
was going to say in 2008, we actually held our first big conference that was called the Prosperity Expo at the time. And one of my real estate buddies, when I told him, hey, this is what I'm doing, I'm starting this women's thing and we're having this conference and I'm going to get 25 vendors and sponsors to be there. And this guy actually made me a bet that I wouldn't pull it off. Guess what?
I'm sorry. I got to laugh at that. Okay. I guess, but I know you now. I didn't know you back then. I know you now. I'm like, that's not a bet I would even take on. I know you.
Hey, maybe it motivated me. Maybe it was all reverse psychology. It could have been.
Yeah. It's funny how, you know what I mean? How there's so many people in the world who maybe are looking at their business right now. And maybe they're at a transition point because of what's going on in the world. All right. And I'm sure you've got tons of advice because Women's Prosperity Network is about helping them right now. Am I correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So what are you doing for your clients in this current thing?
So on March 13th, which was right before the proverbial stuff hit the fan, or like things were just switching, I saw this change coming, and I created a 5-part process that it's all about pivoting. And I had this unique idea that just hit me, and I wanted to provide value and service. So I created this program called Position the Pivot. And it's 5 modules, which is the basics you need to focus on any business. So let's look at your target market and your demographic again. What's going on for them now? Because it's different than when you did all this in January.
Yeah.
Just getting people refocused and centered on how they could provide value based upon what people need today. So I put this course together, and it's robust. It's 7 total modules, plus they get one-on-one coaching with me. And I knew people were experiencing some financial strains. So I created a pay what you want model. So when people go to the course, they could either pay $10, because just about everybody can find $10, right? They could pay a special price of $97, or they could pay the full price of $497. And I did that because I don't want anybody to not get what they need to take that next step because of money. So like I said, pretty much anybody can find $10 somewhere. And if you can't find the $10 and you're in that extreme hardship, just email me. And I want you to get this, because I know what you're bringing to market is going to improve somebody else's life.
So, I did that very similar to that when I first started doing my coaching business in 2010 and 11, where basically I had people, if they came to me and couldn't afford it, I'd say, what can you afford? And I did it on a different way. Tell me, I want your opinion on this. If you would consider doing this with clients, is like I offered you know what I mean? Oh, Tim, I can afford $25 a week. I said, okay, for you, the price is $35. And
stretch a little bit.
Yeah, I wanted them to stretch. And I said, but here's the catch. If for you to be in this program, if I give you a direct instruction, you have to do it. I know you're a mentor and you've mentored a lot of women and business people. Do you feel that stretch model, all right, is just because they're coming up for $10, Do you make extra things to go, okay, I want to get you to stretch because I want you to be in that upper class?
Absolutely. And so the stretch that I've done with the people, and I think I've had, I don't know, 100 or so people that have already started to do the course. If they come to the laser coaching session and have not yet done the modules,
Mm-hmm.
I say, you got to come back,
Mm-hmm.
Because you got to do the work. If you haven't really immersed yourself in who your client is and what they're going through, then your messaging is going to be off. People try to get out to market really fast before really taking the time. So that's what my stretch is: show up on this call, but I'm not going to coach you until you go do the first 2 steps.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I stretch it.
That is, and that is a wise thing, because there's so many people who basically will take, the course. I don't want that. I just want to talk to you. And and that is a wise step to avoid that. I like that. So of the people that you've been helping for years, those are in your coaching program, your masterminds and things like that. Are you doing something special for them right now, or are you trying to make them stretch right now?
So it's interesting. The way my coaching program works is we have something called Momentum Mondays. Mm-hmm. So every single Monday at 12 noon Eastern, we are together in a group, and I'm guiding them through the similar process of readjusting. The one thing I would say that with my clients that I'm really focused on, and this is for everybody, is forcing, encouraging, I don't know what the right word is for this. Probably the most important work we can all do right now is on our mindset. Mm. Because with all of the stuff going on out there, it'll bring you down really, really fast. Mm-hmm. So I require everybody doubles up on what I call vitamin F.
Vitamin F?
Vitamin F, yes.
I'm writing that down. I'm sorry. Okay.
So my daily practice, and you know this, Tim, every successful person that you talk to will tell you that their personal time and adjusting their mindset, focusing on their goals and their intentions is their most valuable part of the day. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Taking that time to get centered and focused before you get pulled in 12 directions. My personal practice, which was consistently 15 minutes to 30 minutes, I've doubled up. I do an hour to an hour and a half every day now.
Wow.
That's how I'm keeping myself in the right mindset to be creative, to be inspired, to serve. So I doubled up for myself on vitamin F, which is faith, fun, gotta have fun, mm-hmm. friendship, like connecting, like I'm so grateful that we're having this time together. Mm-hmm. And then the last F is framing and reframing my mindset so that I notice if I'm starting to feel irritated, sad, upset, depressed, fearful, I reframe whatever's going on so that I can move into the next moment with a better attitude.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm writing this down. I'm quoting you on this tomorrow.
You can put whatever F's you want in there as long as they're positive. Could be food.
Yeah.
Frangelica. I don't know.
Yeah.
Frank Turner music. I could think of lots of F's.
There's a lot of F's we can put in there, huh? So, yeah. Anyway,
moving right along.
And actually, my wife is out there. Somebody just rang my doorbell, and usually we have it so nobody comes and rings the doorbell during these interviews, but it never works that way.
Can I tell you while I thought of a funny story that happened.
Please, I want to hear your funny stories.
So you said when somebody came to you, they could only pay $25, even though if it was $100 or $200, you would let them do that because you knew that if they followed your process, they'd be making more money, and then they'd be more successful. They'd eventually be able to pay you more. That's makes sense.
Yeah.
So I have a course I created based upon Wallace Wattles' book, The Science of Getting Rich. And it's a 30-day program. It's audio journals, all this stuff that goes with it. And I charge $95 for it.
Okay.
I've had people many times who, like, to get $95 together would be nearly impossible. Like, they wouldn't have food. So I'll say, give me something, $10, $25. I had this one woman years ago who couldn't even do that. Like, her bank account was negative, but I could see she was committed.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave her the program. 2 years later, I'm standing at an expo, and I do these things on faith. I trust, right? Mm-hmm. 2 years later, I'm at an expo, and this woman comes down the hallway and hands me, I think she gave me $125. She goes, "You may not remember me, but I saw you were going to be speaking at this event, and I came so I could pay you."
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Amazing.
So, but let's go back to that. You know what I mean? Because I like to say the words, you pay it forward a lot, and I've seen you do it, Nancy. You know, when you came to speak at my event here last November, before my event, you were here in Dallas for the E-Women Network,
Yep.
which Sandra and Kim Yancey's and other friends of mine. You were here for their event, and something unique happened that paid into my event. Do you remember that story and that young lady?
I do.
Let's talk about that for a minute. And she's been on my mastermind calls, so it's like she's part of our mastermind as well here. But yeah, it's paying it forward.
What a gift you gave her. What a gift.
So talk about you know what I mean. You're meeting her and how that transacted and how you immediately went into I can help.
Yeah. So I spoke at the event, the E-Women Conference. I come off the stage and people are asking me questions and buy my books and, you know, all of that. The wonderful things that you want to happen after you speak. And there's a woman in a wheelchair and her mother beside her. And they were waiting to talk with me.
Mm-hmm.
So other people were also waiting to talk with me. And something in my heart and my spirit, I was with those two women, hearing the story of what had happened to this woman and the mom. And we stayed in touch and connected. And I started mentoring her, mm-hmm. you know, to help lift her up so she could get out there and share her story and do better for herself and her children. And she just touched my heart. And here's the cool thing. She ended up at that event because her mom was a Lyft driver and was picking women up at the airport and driving them to the conference. And they get into conversation. "Oh, you should come. This conference is great. This conference is great." So on a fluke, they end up coming to the conference, only being able to see me speak because the girl in the wheelchair was in so much pain. And then I'm coming to your event in Dallas, and I asked you, "Hey, Tim, could I invite her to come as a guest?" Mm-hmm. And you said, "Not only can she come as a guest, she can come as a VIP guest." Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you melted my heart when you said that. And she came all 3 days of the event. She was fully present and touched the hearts of so many people there. And then you served her by inviting her into your mastermind. Mm-hmm. Like, wow.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. That's a pay it forward. We know she needed help. We know she was willing to do the work. I mean, come on. She's in a wheelchair. She's in pain. She's coming to this event to learn.
Yeah.
That shows people what, you know, in my mind, that shows me you want help.
Yeah. I got to say it. If you happen to be watching this, I love you, Natasha.
Yes, Natasha, we're talking about you. We love you, darling. And I'm going to tell her now that she was mentioned when I talk to her later.
Yes, do that.
But yeah, it was a unique blessing. And there was another time that, you know what I mean, I've watched you pay it forward, all right, as you've always done. And then I'm going to get into the why I'm asking that. But you and I were at one of Craig's events, and I did something like I do a joke at Craig's events to get people's attention. Yeah. And Craig actually, he does this thing where he draws a name out of a bag of cards. And I took and crumpled up a $5 bill with my name on it and put it in the bag to see if he'd feel it. And he went, you watch his face go, and he grabs it and he pulls up, "Who put a $5 bill in here? And my name's on it." So whatever it was, I think it was a pair of like headphones I won.
Yeah.
All right. And he says, "Well, Tim Gillette, you win the headphones because," and I never put my cards in there for Craig because to me, I go to his event. I want the people there to get the experience. I've experienced it before. I want the first time people to get it. So I'm like, well, thank you, Craig. I says, but I really don't need headphones. But I'll tell you what, why don't we draw another name and I'll give them away? And the person's name I pull out of the hat is Nancy's. But Nancy, you didn't keep them. What did you do with them?
So a couple of weeks after that event, I was hosting a charity event in Baltimore for first responders and raising money for a local food bank. And so I had put those headphones into the raffle that I was doing.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's really cool? So then I come to your event in November, and the day so it was started on a Thursday. On Wednesday, I was standing in the Apple store and debating between buying an iPad or an iWatch. I was giving myself a gift. I had just signed a big contract. So I was like, do I want the iPad or do I want the watch? iPad watch. I was like, I'm going to get the watch. I show up at your event. On the first day, you announced this contest that you're doing. And let me say that the contest you did was designed to put us in action on what you were teaching. So totally loved the strategy that you used so that you were stretching us to make sure that, we were using what you were teaching. It was brilliant. So the last day of the event, you tally all the results, and I did what you had asked us to do, which was to go on social media and say, hey, I'm in this. I think you told us, say I'm in the contest, share this video. And whoever had the most shares would end up winning the prize, which was an iPad. I'm so taken care of. It was great.
It's funny how, we find those blessings in life when they come along. And yeah, we've given away, I think, a dozen iPads over the past couple of years. We just love doing it. Yeah. And I don't think I gave one away at your event. Did I? I don't think I did.
No. Yeah. And then, so one of the things, for all our speakers out there, one of the things that Tim and I worked out is I spoke at his event and then he came and spoke at my event, and my audience loved you.
Good.
Thank you.
I'm so glad.
Yeah.
And there's a couple people from your event that are coming to our blog and video con now.
Yes.
But at your event, I met Bob, which I know who he was, but I'd never met him. And him and I have been in conversation back and forth ever since.
Bob Sarcosta and Chad Allen are fantastic, and I'm so glad you got to meet.
Yeah.
And I need to say this. So I see that Sandra D. Robinson and Bob Donnell are here in the chat. And here's what's very cool is in 2010, I met Sandra D. And Bob briefly and Bob Sarcosta all at the same event. And I reconnected with Bob Sarcosta the week before I came to your event. And then I reconnected with Sandra at your event. Like there was this little vortex swirl going on of all these people, all meant you're the center of it all.
Yeah. I don't try to be the center. I try to make sure people get success from coming in contact with me. That's all I want to do is make sure you're successful.
Do that.
Yeah. Some choose to do it through going through my mentorship, and some choose to do it through people I need to refer them to that it can help them better. That's just the way I look at it. Yeah. So, one of the things that I was thinking about here is, your journey through doing this. And I brought up the idea of the giveaway stuff because I've seen a lot of conferences now incorporating some sort of charity with their conference. Are you guys enacting and putting a mission with charity into the conference now?
So we typically have some charity that we're raising funds for when we do a raffle and things like that. And our last few events, we've been raising money for one of our members, Marty Ward, who goes to Africa and teaches thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of teachers, pastors, and students confidence in order to eliminate bullying. So that's typically the charity that we've been donating to over the past several years. Plus, she brings water filters so that they can have clean water. So that's typically what we do.
Okay. It's good because you know what I mean. I'm starting to see a lot more conferences do that now. To go, you know what I mean. They're putting a mission, and I personally believe marketing. Part of marketing is giving back.
Okay.
And I've watched you do it. All right, and I didn't know that was how in depth you were with them, and I'm glad to see it. So the other thing I noticed about your event while attending was the interaction of all of your vendors, all right, as well as your speakers, all right, as well as your audience, all right. It was not just let's just sit down and listen to speakers. It was, okay, I want you guys to get in a group of 3 and talk about this last section we talked about. Have you always put interaction into your conferences?
Yes. So when we very first started back in 2008, again, we looked at what's going on in the landscape. So there were lots of places women could go, or entrepreneurs could go to conferences to do learning. There were networking groups you could go to. We implemented a mastermind component right away when we started Women's Prosperity Network. So our monthly events that we were hosting, there was always a mastermind component. Here's what I know is that people go to conferences, yes, to learn and to grow, but they love nothing more than talking to each other. They just love to talk to each other. So rather than, and we try, some of our models in the beginning didn't have as much interaction built into it. And rather than like pulling people away from the conversations they want to have while they're on lunch and on break, why don't we just build in time for them to have that connection? And they leave feeling more filled up and, more sourced. And because we are truly community based, like we're not a networking group, we're a network.
Yeah.
We are not a networking group. We are a network.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I love that mastermind component. All right. And I'm starting to see that now with with the online. All right. Everybody's stuck at home, so everything's online. You've been doing this for years, right? You're still using tools online. Tell the audience what you've been doing for years, because some of them are like, they're just coming into this and everybody's got a different idea about masterminding online. Share yours.
So we've been using Zoom for, 2 or 3 years. And when I first got my first Zoom account and I discovered that you could do these breakout rooms, that transformed my business. Because I was able to recreate what we do in person online. So just the other day, we did a mastermind event, and then we give them 2 times to go into breakout rooms. First one's very short, and then the second one is for a longer amount of time. And I had a woman who joined us for the very first time, and she comes back after the first breakout, and she's like, "Oh my God, that was so wonderful. It was like we became best friends in 5 minutes." And so we've been using Zoom as a tool with breakout rooms for years, and this has helped my business, because the people who would say in the past, "Oh, I don't like to go online," well, you got no choice now. Meet us online, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting. And what happened? So I have this little book called The One Philosophy. I'll turn it like that.
Yeah.
Ta-da. And it's all about how we treat other people. It's about treating everyone you meet as the one. Like the same way you would treat someone who you think is that next best client or referral or whatever that is, that extra level of attention, treat everyone that way.
Yeah.
So I know that this woman who came for the first time felt that best friends in 5 minutes, because our community is based upon this culture.
Yeah.
And you felt that when you were there.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
So
I'm very grateful for who shows up to play.
Yeah. So I want to address something that I actually, an exercise you did at your event that I was actually involved with back in December.
Yeah.
And it was one of the most unique things I seen done. And then, and it was first you instructed, then you made us go into mastermind groups to do it. And that was, you actually had everyone in the audience sit down and write down where they were going to be in 2 years. All right. And then in the mastermind groups, you made us talk like we were already there. I want to know where you come up with that concept, because I thought it was so mind-blowing to me.
So, full disclosure, the way we do that particular activity was morphed from two mentors that I've had. One was Jack Canfield, and the other was Marshall Silver.
I know them both. Good people. Yeah. I've not met them both in person, but I've met them through conferences. Yeah.
So, so what we find is in this activity of pretending it's 2 or 3 years into the future and instructing you to talk as if you're already living that life, it activates your brain to come up with new ideas and things like that. We call it a virtual cocktail party. Oh, we should do that. I'm going to do that. Oh, just inspired me.
I will be sending a text later, so after.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right, thank you.
And do it with the breakout rooms. Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be awesome. We're going to do it. And people need to dream now. We need to tap into what's possible as opposed to what it may appear to you like you're stuck in.
Yes.
So thank you.
Yeah. That's all right. I have another question to go on that. So.
All right, go.
2020, a lot of people have starting to write it off. For all of your clients that you have helped write goals in January of 2020, do you still believe they can achieve them?
I do.
Please explain why.
Because it's all about perception and finding how you can give value right now.
Mm-hmm.
And fortunes are made during this time. People are served during this time. The people that are not going to make it through this are the ones that are hiding under the covers. The ones that are going to make it through this are the ones that connect with you, are learning, are growing, are getting into masterminds, are touching on what's my gifts, talents, and skills that I can bring to people that they need right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I do believe that. And I saw a funny meme on social media the other day, and it said, "Dear 2020, none of this stuff was on my vision board." And I ask you, what was it? How many of you saw yourself having more time to be with family and friends? Right? Like, I invite you to go look at your vision board. And are you getting some of what you wanted just delivered in a different package?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I just find it interesting. It's all about perception.
It is. It is. I wanted to, I sat there and I was looking for the perfect place to line you up with that question. So yes, I believe millionaires are going to be born out of this. I believe not just millionaires, but world changers is the term I like very well. Are going to be born out of this.
And we have an opportunity to take what we're learning during this time about ourselves, about relationships, about the value of being with other people, and bring it into the future. Like, I pray that when the restaurants open up, nobody's sitting there on their phone while they're sitting at a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Like, be with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I think my wife and I have had more conversations since this started, because we're stuck in the same house all day long together. And we have a small condo, so it's not like we have this mansion that we can go to opposite corners. No, we have a small condo, and it's 2 offices where we can echo. I'm pretty sure if she got on a conference call, her conference call hears me up here. I hear her down there. It's just the way it is.
And if I could, I really just want to give a shout out to all of the people who are working from home and who have school-age children.
Yeah.
Their lives are rocked. Needing to be a teacher, trying to get your kids to do the schoolwork that the teachers are giving. Like, my prayers go out to all of you, because you're heroes. And I want you all to thank your teachers because they're taking care of your kids so much,
Yep. And, I like that you mentioned that when we go out again, we need to stop spending time on our phones. We need to stop. You know, I was looking at this, and one of my clients actually asked me, and I was asked on an interview too the other day about this very concept of what's the good that's going to come out of this. What should I be doing during this time? All right, you know, what do you encourage me to do? And you know, and I give my advice based on the fact that I teach content creation. But for you, Nancy, the people who are going through this time, if you could give them one word of advice, maybe someone just tuned in and they're like just trying to figure out how to build this. What's one word of advice you would give the person listening today?
Spend time getting your mind right. It's the most valuable tool. Read positive books, watch TED Talks, watch videos, journal, listen to music that makes you happy, and dance like no one's watching, because probably no one's watching.
Yeah.
Right now.
Well, yeah, one of my clients teaches, you know, you're getting your proper, what do they call it, your positive playlist going. And I'm like, dude, you're needed more than anything right now.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
like that's it. You know, most people need that. So it's so inspiring to get someone like you on here to say the things that a lot of us are already saying.
Yeah, definitely. And here's the other thing that I would say is if you're an entrepreneur and a business owner and you have something important to share that you think is important, even if you have this seed of doubt, like, oh, who's going to listen to me? Do it anyway.
Yeah.
Get out there, share your message, work with Tim to find out the best ways to get your content shared, because people need to hear your message.
Yeah.
If it's in you, it's there to help another person.
Well, if you've lived through it, there's somebody else who's going to have to live through that eventually, and you are here to help them. You've got to do something because they're coming up behind you.
Yeah.
You know, and I fully believe that. Yes, that's one of the reasons why we say to create content to get results. You know, yeah. So I want to read through. So I want to pop some things. A couple people said hi here in the screens. We're going to say hi to them real quick. So Bob Donnell, we both were talking about Bob. Yes, thank you, Bob. That you think the two of us are great people. I appreciate you, Bob, as well. He's a great person in my life. I appreciate him. And there she is, Miss Sandra D, who's going to be speaking at the next Blog and Video Con, which is online.
Awesome.
So,
and I owe you a phone call.
Yeah. So Johnny here, yes, create value. Millionaires are made now. Yes, we were just saying that, Johnny. Thank you for putting it in there and for reinforcing that. So.
My good friend Johnny, glad you could pop on and be with us. He's got a huge vision that he's doing right now. I'm so proud of him and so happy for him and all the people he's impacting.
So is he one of your clients right now?
He's a very good friend. He's also a vision man, and we've spoken together, shared the stage, gone on tour together a couple of times, and he's an extraordinary human being. Cool.
Well, it's great to connect with the extraordinary people you know, because I want to get to know them if you know them. All right, you know, yeah. If they say Nancy Matthews is their friend, well, I want to be their friends.
It's all about being the one, you know, these awesome people. That's how I feel about you, which I was so glad I reconnected with Sandra Day, and life is good. Show up and be the one for others.
Yeah. Student of Nancy is what he said. There you go.
Yeah. Love you, Johnny.
Well, Nancy, you know what I mean? Before we go, we've two things before we wind this down. Number one, there's a lot of people are going to, well, how do I get a hold of Nancy Matthews? What is one website they can go find you at?
So they can find me and all my goings on at womensprosperitynetwork.com. And I'm also very Googleable. So I'm on social media. If you Google me, that'll come up and you'll find all the ways to connect. Thank you.
You know, it's interesting you say that, and maybe there's a word of advice. You know, if you follow people like Nancy, Tim, Bob Donnell, Sandra D, if anybody wants to find you, they're going to be able to Google you and find you.
Yeah.
Good things there. So.
Yeah, be Googleable. So,
be Googleable. Yeah, I like that.
So, a funny story. The way that came up is Susan and I were in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and we were at a hotel. Huh?
Where I was born?
Well, you were born in Scranton,
Pennsylvania.
I did not know that.
Oh, wow.
So we're staying at a hotel, and we were taking the elevator downstairs to the conference room, and this guy comes in the elevator, and he's flirting with me. And he's, asking, can we meet for a drink? And I was getting ready to go to the conference, didn't have cards, nothing with me. And he's like, well, how do I get in touch with you? And I was like, Googleable. My sister looks at me and she goes, really? I'm like, yeah. If you want to find me, you'll find me.
Wow. I love it. So yeah, I did not. I'm glad that you mentioned that town. Anyway.
I don't know that I've ever shared that one before, so it was a good one.
So it's fun times, you know what I mean? And I do love that Nancy, anytime I've ever seen Nancy Matthews at an event, it is good fun times.
Vitamin F, baby.
I'm going to be quoting the vitamin F. Trust me. I've got that down in my writer downers, as I call them.
Good.
Yep. So Nancy, I'd like to close out my podcast with a little game called This or That. Have you heard about my game?
I've heard about your game. I didn't study it, so let's bring it on.
Okay. I have about 8 or 9 questions that I kind of ask, all right? And they've been known to go to 10. Just things that, some are general. Some of them may apply to you more than others.
Okay.
Because I know a little bit about you.
Okay.
Let's start it off with my favorite start off is I like to ask people if they like Star Wars or Star Trek.
Star Wars.
Okay.
Like
so,
big time Star Wars.
So like you seen the original in the theater type Star Wars?
Yes, and I won tickets to see when Return of the Jedi came out on the radio. My children were indoctrinated into it. Like we are a huge, huge Star Wars family.
Cool. So next one I have here is beach or mountains?
Mountains.
Mountains? I know. And you live in Florida, don't you?
I know.
And right now you're stuck at home. Would you rather be listening to a podcast or read a book?
Read a book.
Read a book? Okay. We're going to the bar for a drink after your conference. Are you having a glass of wine or a glass of beer?
Pinot Grigio, baby.
Oh, she even knows what one she had. This one here, I'm not sure you can choose between these two guys. I mean, it's iffy, but I'm going to try it.
All right, go ahead.
Jackson Browne or Bruce Springsteen?
No contest, Bruce Springsteen. You could say anybody or Bruce Springsteen. Bruce Springsteen would win.
I was trying to think of who to put in there because I was going to ask something like that. I know you very well.
Yes, Bruce.
So if you had a choice to go get a fast bite to eat, are you going to get a taco or a hamburger?
Hamburger.
Hamburger? I would gladly pay you on Tuesday for a hamburger today.
Would be.
So if we were going to the movies, are you getting candy or popcorn?
Do I have to choose?
Well, you can suggest something else.
Yeah, I live in an and world, so it would be
both
popcorn and snow caps.
Snow caps. See, because if you said candy, I always ask, "What's the candy you get?" So yeah,
I delivered it, and if I could only have one, it would totally be popcorn.
Okay. So this this next one here has been known to create wars. And let's see if you can top the most famous answer we've had for this one so far. If you have it right now, some people don't have it and they're fighting to find it. Toilet paper, over or under? Over. So a lady on my show last week, her name's Cammie. She's from New England. And hers was the most famous answer. Over. If I date a guy and I go to his house and have to turn that toilet paper over 3 times, I'm breaking up with him.
Too funny. Actually, yesterday we were able to get some toilet paper at the store, and I'm going to post this a little later. I took all the toilet paper I had, and I was like, I feel flush. Get it? Flush.
Mm-hmm. I get it. Some people have got the sense of humor. Some people are going to be going, huh?
Oh, that was fun.
So my last one here is just to know your personal preference. All right. I think there's some potential guys listening. They want to know which to get, and that is boxers or briefs.
Boxers.
Boxers. Okay. So she's a boxers guy. So it's not that bad.
That was awesome.
It's not that bad. Nancy Matthews, once again, tell everyone your website so they can find you, those listening audio as well as those who are watching on the show.
Thank you so much, Tim. This was great fun. Women'sProsperityNetwork.com. I also have NancyMatthews.com. And join us for some of our virtual networking and masterminding. It's really good. You'll like it. Cool.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is another episode of the Tim Gillette Show, here and gone. All right. I appreciate it if you would please, all right, share this out. All right. Subscribe to us on iTunes, all right, or Apple Podcasts, as it's called now. Please go over there and give us a review if you like it, and subscribe to catch the next show coming soon. I'm Tim Gillette. I'll see you next time on the Tim Gillette Show. Bye now.